The AHRC funding does a lot of things for your career. It, I think, is one of the best ways of really moving to the next level of being a research leader. So for example, I never had the opportunity before having an AHRC grant to supervise the work of a postdoctoral research associate, to have a research assistant, and to guide them through different stages of the research as well. So that's been really nice to have a team. Also having a promotion, for example, to senior lecturer. A lot of early career researchers are concerned with that and they're building their portfolio. Having research income is a very big part of your promotions application, so that's an important opportunity as well. And then the networking opportunities that come from having a grant like that. You might be invited to speak at conferences or events. Other people are going to find out about your work that might not have found out about it otherwise. It's visibility, it's a platform, it's peer esteem. So all of those things help in building your portfolio and your profile as a researcher.
The AHRC has a number of different funding opportunities which certainly are open to people immediately after their PhD. For example, there's the International Placement Scheme. That scheme supports individuals travelling to major research institutions in America, in China with the Shanghai Theatre Academy, and Japan, the National Institutes for Humanities.
Were the Crusades good or bad?
We have the New Generation Thinkers Scheme in partnership with the BBC, which gives people a tremendous opportunity to develop a very strong public profile for their research. The research grant scheme really is the bread and butter of applying for funding to the AHRC. It's a very flexible scheme, and it's very important to get used, I think, to thinking about projects which you might be able to apply for funding for. We do have an early career researcher route within the grant scheme, and we try and ensure that there's a slightly higher success rate for early career applicants to that scheme. The AHRC also has its Leadership Fellows scheme, and this has an early career researchers route as well as the standard route. This fellowship scheme is an opportunity for an individual to put forward really quite an innovative, exciting research project, but linked with opportunities for that individual to exercise leadership in their research in one way or another. It's a very flexible scheme, and what research means will vary an awful lot from project to project. It might mean, for example, trying to really take things forward in your discipline in a different way. It could also mean working with partners to try and really help ensure that your research can make a difference outside of academia. We also have more specific schemes. We run the Engaging with Government course in partnership with the Institute for Government, which can be a way of an individual understanding and learning more about how their research can have a real impact in policy making in the UK and internationally.
So in terms of leadership, I've had a number of opportunities to present my work internationally, thanks to the AHRC in India, and also thanks to the involvement of myself in the Religion Society programme. I've been to Canada and the States and Hong Kong. So I'm building a reputation as an international scholar, which also helps me run events, international events in the UK as well for my own colleagues. And since then I've been part of the AHRC Engaging with Government programme, which was a 3-day course which taught early career researchers how to engage with policymakers and gave us opportunities to talk to people from think tanks and people who work in government to get some idea of how to, how we could present our research to policymakers.
I think if you're applying to the AHRC, it's really important to find an area of scholarship where you've identified a gap or a challenge which needs to be overcome. Think about why you're the best person to do that. What previous experience and what future plans will help you solve that problem. And also think about how your networks can help you to solve that problem. Who will you need to collaborate with to really bring to bear a solution to this bigger challenge that you've identified?
It is important to reflect on the scheme for which you're applying to and to try to find the angle for your project that best fits with that scheme. There's no use in trying to retrofit something that you don't feel comfortable with. So the most important thing is to find something that you very deeply care about.
I began putting the actual documents together. It was a long process. It was a dialogue. It was a dialogue with our research office. It was a dialogue with senior colleagues. You need a mentor for the scheme, and so I approached a mentor who then also helped me put together the final application. And I looked at previous applications. So again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think what's really important is to talk to people, as I said, within your institution or outside of your institution, and to use those networks that you've been building
there is a big impact imperative within the RC UK as well as within the REF and generally within UK academia. So it's an important thing to be thinking about. As soon as you start your career as an academic, how are you going to communicate your findings to people outside your cohort of colleagues? So I would say that the grant writing process actually makes you really focus your ideas about that.
When I was crafting the PI response, having received 3 peer reviews from the AHRC on the project as it stood, I worked through the document. I actually took a highlighter pen and highlighted any comments which I felt I needed to respond to in my feedback. And then I drafted a response and sent it to our research office. We collaborated on putting together the final response. I think it's really important that you talk to other people because it's easy to maybe feel you don't quite understand some of the criticisms or you're not quite sure where the peer reviewers are coming from. So it's very important to speak to other people who can help you craft a really comprehensive response.
Recently I was recruited to the AHRC Peer Review College under the Early Career Researcher Scheme. I attended a full day of training which basically went through the reasons for the Peer Review College, how the college works. We sat on a mock panel which was really useful, went through 6 research applications of various types. And it's good to kind of understand the process of how applications are actually judged, what sorts of things people are looking for, how decisions are made. So yeah, if that opportunity comes up again. And also I think having the opportunity at this stage of my career is really useful as well because I can build on my knowledge being part of the peer review college for my own applications going forward.
Maybe not a pitfall, but a common misconception about the AHRC is that it's conservative and doesn't want to fund very adventurous or experimental projects, and I haven't found that to be the case. At least it didn't bear out in my experience. So I would say don't try to predict what the reviewer is thinking or what kind of research they want to fund. If your research is very experimental, if it's very risk-taking, that might be a big positive actually. So I would say go for it and don't worry about that.
So there are lots of ways in which AHRC can support early career researchers, and I would really encourage people to look at the AHRC website, sign up for our newsletter, get involved on social media, follow us on Twitter, because amongst the group of individuals in that early career phase will be our research stars of the future, whether they're working in academia or more broadly, and I would just wish everyone the very best of luck with their research career.